What if you had surgery and nowhere to recover? What if your medicine needed to be refrigerated, but you had no fridge? What if you finally got housing, but are struggling to deal with health issues without support? This is a reality for thousands of people experiencing homelessness. At Fred Victor, we believe health and housing aren't separate, they're inseparable.
We've known for decades that without stable housing, health suffers. And if you're struggling with health issues, keeping your home can be a real challenge.
Many people think that healthcare in Canada is universal, but in fact, there are many barriers for folks experiencing poverty and homelessness. Without a health card and ID, accessing care is a challenge. What if you were treated badly and made to feel ashamed the last time you tried to seek health care?
But what if we could treat homelessness as part of healthcare? What if we stopped expecting people to heal without support and instead brought care to them where they are at? That's social medicine. At Fred Victor, it's our everyday practice.
Back in 2008, we saw clients discharged from hospital with care plans they couldn't follow. Appointments were missed, trust was broken, it just wasn't working. So we brought care in-house. We partnered with Inner City Health and SE Health to assign a doctor, nurse, and PSW directly to one of our buildings. They weren't just staff, they were family. They would start with a "Hey, how are you?" over coffee. And slowly, people who hadn't seen a doctor in 20 years were getting care. We had one woman who had gone years without an actual shower. She would just splash water on her skin once in a while, but she never changed clothes, and sadly, lesions began to develop on her skin. Our doctor built a relationship with her. He started slowly. He treated her with dignity and respect. A year later, she's on medication, her mental health stabilized, and she narrowly avoided a stroke. She's a new person. Yes, we desperately need deeply affordable housing, but we also need the support that goes with it. We are not all equal when it comes to accessing healthcare, and it is costing us dearly.
A lot of the people who come into our housing program have faced serious barriers to accessing healthcare. We found that the most effective way to support our community is to bring the services to them, directly where they live.
So there's such a strong connection between health and housing, and we have seen that people coming from all backgrounds, and with this kind of support they are always having stable house, so they can maintain their housing and they are stable and they are staying for years here. Those who are with this kind of support, they are able to thrive.
We've seen people come from encampments or the streets struggling with physical and mental health challenges. And once they're in our transitional housing program and connected to in-house healthcare, their health needs are met and they start to thrive. We've had folks move from transitional housing into permanent homes, and they're still here years later, healthy, stable, and doing really well. That tells us these programs really work. Our latest social medicine initiative is a partnership with University Health Network to open Dunn House, a first-of-its-kind partnership between a housing provider and a hospital. For the first time in Canada, doctors prescribing housing as treatment for homelessness.
I think the thing that's really unique about Dunn House is that the housing was created, but the medical supports were put inside the housing rather than expecting somebody who's newly housed to make it back to the clinic for their follow-up appointments. It's quite life-changing for people. It means that people get connected to those appointments. They attend their follow-up. They make connection with primary care. They get psychiatric care and full wraparound services where your healthcare and your housing provider are working together to improve your quality of life. We've seen a lot of people really do well and settle into their housing. One individual, for example, was waiting years for a hip replacement surgery and wasn't able to get that while they were living in an encampment. And through having this stable housing, they were able to actually get their hip replaced a couple months back and are now in recovery, and we're seeing improvements in their quality of life and their mobility, and it's been quite life-changing in such a short period of time for that individual. Yeah, and that's just one story. This housing has 51 people and many, many different stories just like that. It's encouraging. I believe that housing and health are innately connected. I believe you can't have housing without health, and you can't have health without housing. In a lot of ways, it's like the social determinants of housing rather than the social determinants of health. Housing is a human right. And without housing, you know, a woman in Canada, average life expectancy is 36 years old. Sit with that number. An unhoused woman lives only till average 36. But it's time to acknowledge that housing is a human right and it's part of healthcare.
The connection between housing and healthcare is the distinction between life and death. People should not be condemned to suffer just because they are marginalized. We fundamentally believe that everyone deserves human dignity and respect. We've been practicing social medicine for decades. We know that health starts with housing, and with the right supports, people can rebuild their lives. We see it happen every day, but we can't do it alone.